Let's talk about 3 things you need to ensure a successful tenancy. It's something that I wish I knew years ago, because going forward, this is great information and it's a great way to be able to handle your tenancies, get the right people in, and start off on the right foot from the very beginning. So it's just so important. So thank you for joining me, you guys. I really do appreciate it. It's all about helping other landlords be better landlords and just be successful in the landlord business. And the way to do that is by screening right and getting yourself set up properly. So 3 things you need to ensure a successful tenancy are, well, did you ever take a chance on renting to someone that you didn't fully screen for your rental property, and you felt kind of like you needed to take a chance on them because you needed to get the property rented? Well, that's kind of like breaking the rules, and I've done it too, and don't feel too bad because you're in good company. A lot of successful landlords have done it. They've accepted tenants and rented to them without fully screening them because they were in a hurry to get it rented. It happens to everyone, and sometimes we break our own rules and rent to a tenant that we didn't fully screen. But those mistakes are how we grow and we learn, and we realize that we don't want to keep making the same mistake that's going to come back and bite us, you know. Now, one of the things that happens when a tenant takes possession of your rental property, and you may have seen this yourself when you've handed over the keys and had tenants move into your property, there's a sudden shift of power from the landlord to the tenant. Have you ever seen that? Where suddenly your tenant is all powerful. And why is that? Why do you think that? Negotiating power, leverage, whatever you want to call it. But I'm sure you've seen that sometimes when you hand over the keys or when the tenant is in possession of your rental property, the attitude becomes a little different. All of a sudden, they're more powerful. And that's because they have your property held hostage, right? They're in control of your rental property. Before you give them possession, you're in control. And they're being so nice and very, very polite and respectful. But when they get possession of your property, in many cases, the power shift happens, and all of a sudden, they're in control of your rental property. Your property is hostage. So how do you deal with that? And this is a subject I think that every landlord needs to know about, and most of us that have been in the business have experienced this. This is when your property is held hostage. So how do you deal with it? Well, what do you have? What do you have that is valuable or dear to your tenant? Okay, you have number one, you have the security deposit, okay? And that might be in the amount of 1 or 2 months rent, right? So in relation to your rental property, you know, who's got a bigger hostage? You're holding 1 or 2 months rent security deposit, and of course you know that can be blown away. That security deposit can be definitely eaten up pretty quickly if the tenant stops paying rent or starts damaging the property, but you're holding the security deposit. You know, we see that shift all the time. We see that when you hand over the possession. So that security deposit doesn't come close to leverage when they have your $100, $200, $300, $400,000 property in their possession. They are in control of your property. And, you know, so sometimes we feel that, and it kind of worries us because now you didn't screen them that well, and you're worried that they're not going to live up to their end of the bargain on the lease. You want to make sure that they obey the lease and stick to their agreement. So that's a real important thing that you want to make sure that they're able to do. So how do we deal with that stuff? Well, there's also another thing dear to the tenant that you would have. Number 2, they have your house hostage. You have their security deposit hostage, which isn't as much leverage. Number 2, you should have a signed property condition report. And that's one of the forms we have on the LPA website, and a lot of management companies have their own. And I recommend that you have that, because when the tenant signs their signature onto the property condition report checklist, it's a checklist of all the items in the property, all the rooms, and the condition of the walls, the floors, the ceiling, the windows. You know, it lists all the items in the property and the condition. The countertops. Sometimes people have Formica countertops and tenants smoke and they make burns with their cigarettes on the countertops, or you may have tile floors that get cracked by the tenant. And these are all things the tenants are responsible for. And they may say, when you make a deduction out of the security deposit, it's very common that the tenants blow a fuse. They blow a gasket when you make those deductions. Another form is the security settlement challenge crusher, but that's another video. Okay, the property condition report, when they sign that and they agree that this is the condition of the property at the time of move-in, you've got that in writing. And they know that going in. So they also realize, well, we better take care of this, because the landlord's going to charge us if we wreck it. If we damage anything, we're going to get billed for it. So that's why we also give them one of our free forms on the LPA website, Settlement Charges Guide. And the Settlement Charges Guide itemizes all the different items that you might charge for. Broken refrigerator handle, different things that may be wrong with the property. Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate that. So all these things that are damaged on the property, it could be appliances, it could be the floor, it could be the countertop, could be broken windows, could be bad stains in the carpeting. These are deductions. Holes in the wall, the guy gets mad, they have an argument and they punch holes in the walls or in the doors. You've seen it. It happens all the time with tenancies. And these are things the tenants must pay for. And you use the security settlement statement for that, itemizing them. But they agreed to the condition going in with the property condition report. So they can't use that, and they know they can't use that in court when they try to sue you for keeping their security deposit. So that is a little bit of leverage added to the security deposit. So that brings me to my third form of leverage that you have against the tenant, and also is the signed credit reporting disclosure statement. And that's the form that I give the tenants that tells them we report to the credit bureau. Because if their credit is valuable to them, and you know that you accepted them because they have good credit, then they're going to value their credit. So I always tell them that you value your credit, but we report to the credit bureau. So it's a double-edged sword, okay? And it's a double-edged sword because you can hurt your credit or you can help your credit by being a good tenant. So that's very important. And they realize that, and we realize they may want to buy a house someday. They might want to buy a car, and they're going to need their credit to be good. The signed credit reporting disclosure statement lets them know that you intend to report them to the credit bureau. And immediately, that raises the importance, the priority of the rent payment. So those three things that you need to ensure a good tenancy, okay? Security deposit, signed property condition report, and a signed credit reporting disclosure statement, explained well to the tenants and done well, will ensure a good quality tenancy. Okay, thank you for joining me, and feel free to share this if you think anyone will benefit by it, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.